Hello, I'm Lieutenant Lorena Reese. I've been with HPD for approximately 17 years on this department. I'm glad that you're joining us today, and I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy our tour here at the HEC Center. Most people don't know what we do here, and so we're really hoping that we can bring some light to what they do behind the scenes, that voice on the mic.
All right, and I'm Trent Kennard, been a dispatcher for about 14 years, 10 with HPD. I'm excited to go ahead and show you guys what we get into every day at the HEC Center.
Come and join us. Thank you. So this is our Emergency Operations Center here. In this location, you might see our media personnel from our Office of Community Affairs. They may come in here and have press conferences after a critical incident or a major disaster in the city. So you might see video aired from here that would come from, like let's say Hurricane Katrina, or when we had our major freeze here in the city recently. They would come and news would come here and speak.
As we continue with Community Shield of the Houston Police Department, this is an exciting day. This is a place where really no one gets to have access to. It's a secure building. It's a secure facility. It's a location where the 911 calls come in, and where we have people that are specialized are receiving these calls, people that are prepared. Not only that, but we have some equipment in here that really nobody can really mess with unless you have a certification, unless you have the training, you have been specifically given the authority to use this equipment. And this is what we're about to see. This is why it's so exciting. Lieutenant, you've worked patrol before. You've been an officer, you've been a sergeant, you've been here, you've been there. And right before we started this recording, you said you were able to just get something out of this place more than what you've ever known about what the 911 call center is all about.
Yes,
and dispatchers.
Yes. That's absolutely correct. So prior to coming here, I have never really experienced been knowledgeable or been able to see exactly what they do. I just knew our dispatchers as the voice behind the mic. I never really understood the capacity of the amount of management and technique and just really awesomeness that happens back there. There really are rock stars. Since I've been here, I've been able to see them manage critical incidents, like our officer-involved shootings.
Yes.
And they really work very well together. They collaborate well together. They really are a team when it comes down to a crisis situation. And not only that, they do an excellent job with officer safety on a daily basis. They really are multitaskers. I would say that I have been truly impressed by what I've seen coming here to work, and I will now be a true advocate moving forward to really just try to explain the amount of importance that they have for our department. They really truly are that voice behind the mic, but they are taking care of us. They are keeping us safe. When they're keeping the officers safe, then that actually helps us to do better for our community, to do more for our community.
That's right.
Right, because when our officers are well taken care of, our community is well taken care of as well. And so just what they do is just truly amazing. They really are rock stars, and I can't really say that much more. I'm impressed. I am really impressed with the amount of professionalism that is here, the amount of required skill that it takes. It's kind of like they are our unsung heroes, you know. And so I really truly appreciate what I've learned since I've been here working in ECD.
And of course, we're expanding in a lot of different ways during this program. So stick around with us. We are going to be talking to our friend dispatcher, and during the program, he's going to be telling us about his experiences as a dispatcher. But let's continue with this tour. That is, I can't wait. Let's get in there.
Yes.
All right, let's check it out. We're about to go in here. All right. So this is it, guys. I know we go from a well-lit room to a room that's partially dark. It's like a computer room. They got multiple screens going. Every dispatcher that is on a mic has multiple screens. They're looking at multiple data, and everything is continuous. It's not you stop doing one thing for the other. Everything happens as it's going on. And let's expand on what this room is and what we are doing actually in one of these desks.
This is where all the action takes place. This is the call takers floor. This is the HOV floor, all the way down at the end. And on the right side here, we have the HPD dispatch floor. This is basically where all the calls for service show up after the film.
Sure. Now I see the way that they are divided. They're divided. There's one dispatcher per desk. There's 4 screens on each desk. There are microphones that are in every desk. So my guess is that every single one of these desks is assigned to a particular station or a certain sector.
Correct. Each station or terminal that we have is assigned a certain area of the city. You have special ops, you have southwest, you have northwest, you have North Shepherd, northeast, just each different area of the city. And we have one dispatcher, sometimes 2, that work each area, each mic.
I see also that there was actually a terminal that has 2 people manning the terminal, and they advised me that there was some training going on there.
Absolutely. Anytime that you see 2 people at a terminal, that's our on-site training. We have a lot of great dispatchers that take the newer dispatchers under their wing in order to train them, show them the ropes, the freeways, the different cities, the different call types, just all the intricacies of dispatching.
Okay. Now, before you became a dispatcher, this is about over 14 years ago now?
Yeah, 14 years.
What experience did you have to kind of set you up and prepare you for this? Or was this something that you were like, well, I'm interested in it, I want to learn a little bit about it, and you just came just blank? You didn't know anything about this place.
I came as a blank slate, absolutely blank. But the trainers, they helped me understand everything that I needed to know as far as the freeways. That was probably the toughest thing for me to learn, just all of the different freeways, how 59 can be East Tex, but it can also be Southwest Freeway, as well as just how huge Houston really is. It's the 3rd largest city in the entire U.S. You have so many officers to look after, so many different call types. It's just so much that you have to learn. But our trainers do a magnificent job.
And you were saying East Tex Freeway 59. Now to make it more complicated, now it's 69.
It's 69. You see, so it's just it's so much that you have to learn and take in. But they do a great job being patient with you and just showing you the ropes.
All right. So one of the superstars here, one of our superstars, they're behind that mic that connects police officers with each other. It's just an amazing talent that you guys have here, doing what you do every single day.
Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Joshua Sheen. I'm a police officer assigned to North Patrol Station. We just wanted to show our appreciation for dispatchers this week. Today I took my rookie officer, who's a PPO, to tour the facility and see all what dispatchers do. I believe it is important for officers to know that dispatchers not only deal with one police officer, but they deal with 30 plus officers at one time. Just yesterday, we dropped an assist in reference to an individual who was suffering. They was having a moment in crisis. My partner and I needed additional officers, and without the dispatcher, we wouldn't have as many officers coming to us, as she was able to relay messages, talk on the radio, and get on the phone. So again, we just want to show our appreciation to dispatchers and everything that they do. Thank you.
All right, we continue Community Shield of the Houston Police Department. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Officer Jesus Robles from the Office of Community Affairs. And, we are at the HEC Center. This is the place, this is the location when you call 911, Yes, we have beautiful people that are answering the phones, that are always ready to take your call. And this is the place where your 911 call gets disseminated to the dispatchers. And this is why we're here today. We are honoring dispatchers. We are honoring this week. We are just exposing, showing, and letting you guys know exactly what they do and what it takes to be a dispatcher. And we cannot continue doing this program, of course, without highlighting our superstar dispatcher here that's with us today. Maybe a little shy to be on the camera here because he's usually used to being behind the computer, listening to the phones and just listening to officers on the streets and helping them out, sending them calls and getting people dispatched. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you.
Good, good. Now, let me know, what do you do here on a regular basis besides some of the stuff that I was saying? Anything else that you would like to share, and just tell us what you do here on a regular basis.
This is where we basically just practice being the first responders. Uh, this is where the emergency calls are sent over to us. We send them out to the units and make sure that the units have adequate backup, adequate information to assess the situation before they arrive on scene.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. Now, what does it mean for you to be a dispatcher? I know it's a job. I know it's a place where you collect a check after you finish your every 2 weeks or whatever. But what does it mean to you to be a dispatcher?
Uh, this is me making a difference.
Okay.
I feel like I can help people. I feel like that I can just be there in order to help protect people whenever they're, faced with a problem. There to help calm them in their situations of emergencies.
Okay, it happens a lot. I know, Lieutenant, you've been here for a short period of time, but you've already, like you expressed before, you've already learned to appreciate what it takes to be a dispatcher and working along with these guys. You were telling me, if I hear about it, there's an officer shooting, there's something going on, I go immediately to where that dispatcher is at, not necessarily to tell them what to do, but to do what? Tell me what you do when you go out and you stand next to this dispatcher.
Well, my purpose in doing that is to really show them that they have support, to really just not necessarily step in or to speak for them or any of that, because I really don't even know that I could do the job that they do, because they multitask so many different things. They're listening on their headsets, they're looking at screens, but really just to let them know that I'm right there, I'm available, and if there is something I can do to help, because I am a supervisor, that I believe that is my role, is to provide assistance if there's something that they can't do. And so I want to make sure that they know that they have a hands-on supervisor who is right there available to them. So if they do need to reach out and say, hey, Lieutenant, we need so-and-so over here, or we need some assistance over here, I'm right there readily available.
And of course, the training that dispatchers go through sets them up to be decision makers, to be always ready, not necessarily to be told what to do, but they know exactly where to go and who to go to. How important is decision making here as a dispatcher, to have that skill and that training?
Well, I think that number one, it speaks volumes how important it is, being that they speak with the voice of the chief of police. That in itself will tell you how important their role is and how important it is that they are capable of making decisions on the spot, because they are the ones who are actively listening to what's happening right then and there. So they are able to really effectively to multitask, and so they know what's best for us, and they do an excellent job of really just managing the calls for service, managing the priority calls as they come in. Most importantly, I think, is just that knowing that they're there for our officers' safety.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me as an officer, for all of these years, I really believe that is the most important thing that they're doing for us, because that voice behind the mic, when you get in the car at the beginning of your shift,
Mm-hmm.
it really is what can keep you sane or keep you going throughout the day. So I really appreciate what they do and their level of commitment and management that they have, and authority to be that voice behind the mic. It is vital to our safety.
That's right. And good judgment. We need dispatchers to have good judgment. They're making decisions in seconds, because things are so volatile out there. Now, good judgment and compassion. Do you see that as a quality that a dispatcher has to have, compassion?
Absolutely. A lot of times people call in during the worst times of their lives, and you're there to calm them and to try and help resolve most of the situation before the officer arrives on scene. So it's definitely a quality needed.
Now, before you became a dispatcher, what were you doing before?
I was an accountant.
In accounting. All right, all right. So you had your hands, your fingers busy all the time there, counting numbers and doing all that.
Yes.
Were you a multitasker?
Not in the sense of what I do now. No,
Okay, and how
nowhere near
important
it.
is multitasking now to you?
Very. It can be really the difference between a successful operation or a mistake. You have to be able to multitask and focus on multiple things at all times.
You know, even though I see you guys working on individual stations,
Yes.
there is. I asked one of the dispatchers back there. Is there a rhyme and a reason how you guys sit in this room? Is there a specific reason why so and so sits to so and so, or what sector South Gessner sits next to Midwest, or that? Is there a reason for that?
It's basically just organization.
Okay.
There really isn't a specific reason why stations are where they are.
Mhm.
It's just Northwest and Northeast are paired together, and North Shepherd, Northeast are paired together, and so on and so on.
Okay, I've seen the conversations just in the moments that we've been here. One of them stands up and speaks to the other one and says, "Hey, I think there's a chase going into your sector,"
Mhm.
and they're so strategically close to each other that they're able to speak to each other not only on the mic but also live in person. Is there a space here for somebody just to stay in its own world, or do you have to be a team player here?
You have to be a team player in order to have everything go around and stream fluidly. You do have to be a team player for sure.
You got to leave everything out right out of here, and any bad relationships, just you leave it all out. You got to work together.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a time and place for that outside, but when you step in here, everyone's a team.
Emotional control.
Absolutely.
It's a quality. Emotional control is something that you have to have, and I think this is why it's so cool that you guys have Lieutenant here. She comes from peer support. Her experience in working with crises, right? Now in a place where
Yes.
crisis is imminent any second in here because of the
Absolutely.
phone of the nature. Can
Absolutely.
you express to me on that, on the emotional control that you got to have as a skill that you need to grow into as a dispatcher?
Sure. At any given time, you can have someone calling in, screaming at the top of their lungs, whether it's anger, fear, sadness, grief. You have to be there in order to calm them and let them know that it's going to be okay. You know, we're here to help, and in order to help, you first have to have control of the emotion.
Now, as a communicator, as a dispatcher, I mean, a lot of years of experience, you tend to grow a certain thick skin. But I'm sure you still face situations where you're like, wow, is there somebody that comes to you and tells you you're going to be okay? You're fine. You did your best.
Absolutely. Our supervisors, we have the watch command over there in the middle, and we also have Lieutenant Reese here. She's very well with that. Um, our supervisory team is pretty well with letting us know that they have our back.
In a situation with your experience, Lieutenant, I'm not specifically speaking into this place, but when you have an officer going through some sort of crisis, mental crisis, or when you got one of the dispatchers here going through something, what's something that we can apply as officers, and we can also apply as people watching this program at home, something that we can do. What is it when we see ourselves kind of locking and hurting?
I think immediately is to try to take some deep breaths, to really refocus where your mindset is, and even in the midst of a crisis, your capability to be able to see yourself through the crises, which I think that we're all trained to do, that the general public is not. But one of the main things is really taking some deep breaths, really trying to refocus and bring yourself to a mindset of knowing that, you will get through this, and this is a temporary situation. And that even though it is a crisis and it may be horrible, that it will end eventually. And I think just keeping yourself in a really positive mindset, being mindful of your thoughts can really help you to manage that stress. It is a learned trait. It's not something that comes overnight. I think that's why it's so vital and so important that we actually have continuous training, that we work on resiliency, that we work on coping skills that are positive, that we really focus on talking about the stress that we deal with on a daily basis. A lot of times in police work, and also from what I've seen here, they manage multiple situations on a daily basis, just like officers do on the streets. So there's a lot of cumulative stress that may not necessarily be just one crisis one day. It can be multiple calls throughout the day. It could be multiple critical incidents that are really just affecting them emotionally and physically. And as long as you're aware that what we're doing does create those types of stressors, then you're able to forward think ahead and be able to say, okay, when this type of crisis does occur, or when this type of incident occurs, how can I keep myself in a state of calmness? Because especially for what they do, they have to remain that calm, because the officers on the street, we're in the midst of it. We're in the midst of chasing down that suspect, or being involved in that shooting incident, or just really trying to figure out what's next. But them being calm on this end and knowing how to manage their stress effectively and their voices effectively, it is a skill that takes time to learn, but it's doable. It's definitely doable. It's something that comes with time, just like with officers. For us, it definitely comes with time. But it is resiliency and coping are something that you have to practice. It takes 21 days, from what I understand, to create a habit. Mm-hmm. So I tell the team and everybody here that I speak with, what you say matters. And so I think words matter. Just speaking positive affirmations to yourself on a daily basis, maintaining a positive mindset is really the first step in being able to control your emotions. Mm-hmm. Because really 100% of it, or 90%, I guess, and I'm not quoting exactly, I don't remember mm-hmm. who said this phrase, but it's 90% is our reaction to a response. Sure. So how we respond to things is really that's up to us. Mm-hmm. How other people are affected, it is 90% our reaction that's going to affect them. So if we're in control of ourselves, what is happening on the other end, it's doable. We can make it work. We can manage it appropriately.
And of course, here at work, we go through the stresses, right? And you're not supposed to take anything home. Part of the resiliency is always having something to go to after you leave this place, right? Having something positive to go to. Do you have anything that you, after a busy day here, after a stressful day here, any hobbies that you practice when you get home to help you in this resiliency aspect of being a dispatcher?
Absolutely. I do tend to go to the gym quite a bit. I'll take up hiking and napping.
Oh, hiking and napping. I like that. Yeah. Man is honest right here. Yeah. A good deal. Napping. Now, I know an officer. His name is kind of rhymes with your name. You know, Kennard. His name is Tenard. Really? And Tenard, that's why I'm so keen to Kennard. Tenard helped us do a segment for this program. He appreciates dispatchers. He loves dispatchers. And he said, Officer Robles, I like superhero characters. And he said, I think I can connect Batman and Commissioner Gordon to what a dispatcher does. Do you have any clue about why you would say something like that? Commissioner Gordon and Batman, do you have any clue about that?
We're more of the unsung heroes behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. And what did Commissioner Gordon do every time there was a need, an emergency?
The bat signal.
The bat signal, and you guys are that bat signal when we get that 92871. You know, and then yes, 92871. There's a call waiting on your screen. Can you please check it out now? Yes, I will. So let's check out this video here with Officer Tenard. They're from the Memorial area.
My name is Officer James Tenard III. I'm a senior police officer with the Community Affairs Department. And today we're going to talk about the superhero chronicles as it relates to police officers. Today we're going to talk about Batman. Right here we have Terry McGinnis Batman. We have the old school Batman, the Mego doll. We have the animated series Batman. We have the first Batman that was created in 1939 by Bob Kane. And we have the 1960s Adam West Batman. And right here we have the 1990 series Batman car. And here's a picture of the first depiction of Batman in 1939, the way Bob Kane drew him. And he was a spinoff from Zorro, The Shadow, and Dick Tracy. But in particular today we want to talk about how dispatchers are so important and how Batman and Commissioner Gordon, the correlation between the two. Commissioner Gordon he started off just like every police officer. He was a police officer. He became a sergeant. He became a lieutenant. He was a captain, and then he became commissioner, which is the equivalent of being a chief like Troy Finner. He started to have problems in Gotham City. Crime was on the rise, and he didn't have enough manpower to handle the crime. Bruce Wayne was a young man who was born in Gotham City. His parents was Thomas and Martha Wayne. They were killed in the alley, and he became an orphan. He was so motivated by that he told Alfred that he wanted to travel abroad and learn how different types of self-defense and different forensic sciences. And he became this machine, this machine of combat and battle. When he returned to Gotham City around about the age of 25, he started his journey on being Batman on a night patrol. His first encounter with Commissioner Gordon was strange, but as the time went on, they built a relationship. And when crime got so bad in the city, Commissioner Gordon would use the bat signal and he would dispatch Batman. And this is how we're going to tie that in. Dispatcher, this is Dispatcher Week, Dispatcher Month. Dispatchers are so important here, especially in Houston and across the world. The dispatcher is the person that has the voice of the chief, and they make contact with the officer to let them know exactly where the call is, whether it's a code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The dispatcher is going to let you know the sense of urgency that the call, the nature of the call, what to look for. Dispatchers should be worthy of praise here at the department. We need dispatchers for survival. We don't give them enough praise. And I would like to say again, I want to reiterate, Commissioner Gordon, not only was he a police chief, commissioner, he was a dispatcher. He knew the importance of having the right timing, knowing when to call Batman, just like the dispatcher knows when to make contact with the police officer, to fight crime and to be on time to where the caller, the complainant, and to get to the suspect, to make the arrest, to do what we need to do to keep this city safe. Commissioner Gordon was awesome. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, any of the Batmans, but every time they have someone play the role of Commissioner Gordon, they depict him as the person who has a one-on-one relationship with Batman. Batman would be the equivalent of a police officer that works nights. Maybe 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is when he will patrol, and Commissioner Gordon played as the dispatcher. He wasn't ashamed of the fact that he was a commissioner and that he needed the help. Whenever there was something in the city that was overwhelming, he would dispatch Batman, and by way of the signal. And the way that the dispatchers dispatch us is it's a radio. We get it over our speaker. We see the call, and we do exactly what the dispatcher tells us to do. The dispatcher and the police officer work together hand in hand. And dispatchers should be celebrated, and they should be well respected here in Houston and cities all over the world. I would like to give a special thanks to all patrol officers. Myself, I patrolled for 12 years at McCower Station and downtown patrol. Patrol officers, we love you. We thank you for always being so brave and going to the call without hesitation. And also to the dispatchers, we love you. Thank you for being patient with us and working with us. Sometimes repeating the street names and the maybe what floor the suspect is on, or giving us a height description or whatever it may be. We can't make it without you. Patrol officers, dispatchers, we love you from the Houston Police Department Community Affairs. And just like Batman, he patiently looks for the signal from Commissioner Gordon. In the same way as HPD patrol officers, we look for the signal from dispatch to call us to the call, and we go bravely without hesitation, and we do what we have to do as police officers without hesitation. To all patrol officers, I love you from the Community Affairs Department. My name is Officer James Tenard.
That was our friend, Officer Tenard of the Community Relations, Community Affairs Office for the Houston Police Department. What did you think about that?
That was very interesting.
Yeah, what about them toys? You like the toys?
Loved them. Loved them.
My favorite was the old one. I'm old school. He had all these toys that he was using as props.
More of a Dark Knight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That book he had on the back with the pages flapping all over the place.
Yeah.
Good effort. What do you give it from a 9 to a 10? What do you give it?
An 11.
An 11. All right, good deal. What about you? What you think about that video?
Man, what a great analogy. That was really good. I love that he incorporated, superheroes into the mix, because they really are our unsung heroes, our superheroes.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That was really great.
So that's something new that we're incorporating in the program, and it was perfect to incorporate Commissioner Gordon, right, to be able to reflect on what our chief is, right? He's a leader. And of course, you guys as dispatchers are the voice of the chief.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to tell officers: do not get these guys upset, because they'll dispatch you to every single thing. All right, now, why do you want to be a dispatcher? Why did you just decide all of a sudden to be a dispatcher? Was it just a light from heaven just came down and said you're gonna be a dispatcher?
Well, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It was something that I stumbled upon while I was in college. I actually turned out to be pretty good at it, and I ended up moving here to Houston and continued my career as a dispatcher.
Okay, good deal. There it is, ma'am. Is there a special reason why you came out here? Is it one of those things that I have to go and try it out?
I'm laughing because honestly, I'm newly promoted, and this was my first assignment as a lieutenant. But it was a blessing in disguise, because I got to really see the magnitude of what's happening here. But since I've been here, I am a true advocate now of them, as you can probably tell throughout this video. But I really think that what they do is very purpose-filled. What they do matters. The impact that they make on our officers and on the citizens, it's a real honor to be here as their lieutenant, and I'm very proud to be able to say that I work with them here in the Emergency Communications Division and with Kennard here, and I'm also pleased that we're honoring them for Telecommunicators Week, because man, they really don't get enough recognition for what they do. And I wouldn't have been able to say that 6 months ago before I came here, honestly, because I had no idea what they do. So I'm really pleased that we are honoring them behind the scenes today, that we're really taking this opportunity to acknowledge the hard work and the effort that they put in. A lot of them work many hours tirelessly behind the scenes, listening to us. Sometimes the officer is giving them a difficult time on the radio, and I know that we don't mean to, it's just that we're out there managing calls for service, just like they are managing it from their end. So I'm really honored to be their lieutenant here, and I'm glad that I was able to experience this time in my career.
Now, a problem solver. You become a problem solver every time you get on that mic. You don't get a 911 call to say, "Hey, congratulations, good job, happy birthday," or "You're awesome." You get these calls that you have to go through, and Did you think that part of your job, if not 99.999% of your job, was always going to be in critical thinking all the time and being a problem solver?
No, actually, I didn't. While I was in college, I was actually a finance major. So the whole critical thinking, problem solving, multitasking, that was just something that never crossed my mind as far as a career. But once I was in the career and I was just immersed with all of the different type of calls that you get, the different type of people that you get, the connections that you make with officers, as well as helping citizens, the fulfillment that you get, it became something that I really enjoyed.
Now I see extroverted and I see introverted,
Yes.
right? How do you
He's
get
extroverted.
Are you extroverted? No, I think you're a little introverted. Now, with that introverted trait that you have, how are you able to, get on there and like all of a sudden, boom, become this communicator? You have to become like a DJ, like the mic's on,
Yes.
Mike's, you're on the air, baby.
The training. The training is just really what helps you get over being an introvert, taking control, being able to tell the officers what they need, where they need to go, as well as accepting, what you need to learn and give back.
When people are going through a crisis, they're calling 911. They're not calling because they're having a good day. It'd be unintelligible callers, people that you don't understand what they're saying. And then you got the officers that are on the radio, on the street, running around, handling something, and they're unintelligible either too. How do you handle stuff like that?
Just by asking them to repeat if they can. If they're unable to, we have a playback system here that we can, play back the traffic and see if we can understand it a little bit better the next time. It's ways around it.
Now, how do you handle your traffic that's coming in on the radio?
As far as
the calls, the officers trying to ask you something and you logging things in and sending things in?
Just one at a time. If there's times where they're walking over each other, you have to get on there and be like, hey, one at a time, you guys are walking over each other. But one of the parts of the training is just getting your speed of typing up. So it's pretty easy to maintain, all of the radio traffic coming in as long as you're, able to type consistently and smoothly.
Okay, there's a smoothness to it, right?
Yeah.
I did see you on the computer, and I did see you replying to somebody, and you just put your fingers on top of the keyboard and you just listen, like that. I don't know if you picked up your fingers and you typed up about 100 words there, and I was like, did you type, or did you just lay your hand on it?
It's sort of a magic trick they teach you. Just rush across, and whatever you need done, it gets done.
So I just think it's very important that we also acknowledge all of our partners here on the floor. This is a huge building, but it actually has so many heroes in here. And on this middle portion here where we're facing, this is actually the 911 call taker area. This is where you have your non-emergency, the 713-884-3131 number that you might call. And then you have your actual emergency situations where you would call 911, what's your emergency, where you hear something like that. And so that is actually overseen by the HEC Center. This is the center portion here in the middle. So when you call 911 or when you call non-emergency, this is the call taker center here that receives those calls. So it's a little bit different aspect of what our HPD dispatchers do. Our HPD dispatchers actually receive the calls from 911. They get coded in based off of priority. Those priority calls get sent over to the district that's actually managed them from our side, from the dispatch side. And once they receive the calls, then the dispatchers then share that information to the officers, and then they dispatch the officers out as they receive the calls. And so they're managing priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to code 9 calls, which is our lowest priority call. A priority 1 and 2 call is our highest priority calls, and so you will see them multitasking, and sometimes they may actually have multiple priority 1s and 2s at the same time that our dispatchers will be sending out officers to. On the other end of our building here, we actually have our Houston Fire Department, and they also have call takers and they have dispatchers. And so they are actual classified personnel, which is a little different from what HPD does, because we have civilian personnel that we're definitely hiring for right now, and we need dispatchers. And so on this side over here, it's actually a promotion for the Houston Fire Department, and they come in and they dispatch, and then they actually have 911 call takers that dispatch specifically to HFD, which is our Houston Fire Department. And then we also work collaboratively, because if we have a call, like let's say we have a shooting incident, what will happen is the 911 call taker will then dispatch to both our HPD and our HFD partner team, so that way both sides of the response are immediately dispatched to the calls for service. So that way the citizens are getting the assistance as quickly as possible, which is very important because we want to make sure that we're working together as a team. So all three of these different people here on this floor, the Houston Police Department, the Houston Fire Department, and the HEC Center, which is also known as our 911 call takers, are very vital to our to the safety of our citizens and to the safety of our officers and our fire team here, because like I said, we all do work together as a team. And so this is really just one large area. It is also in this building. We didn't really talk about it, but we do have our fusion center here, which is our criminal intelligence division. And during mass casualty incidents or high profile incidents, you might have a team come in. Our Office of Emergency Management is also works out of this building. And so this is a very multi-purpose building. It's high tech in a way, but it's also low tech, so they work with what they have. But we're really just pleased to be able to have such a collaborative team here that works together, and a team of heroes, like we said, that really does an excellent job keeping all of our citizens safe and our officers safe in times of mass casualty, or even just could be your 911 call that perhaps you might have a child fearful or lost from their family for something like that.
Hello, my name is Allison Hudson. I am a program manager and public information officer for City of Houston Office of Emergency Management. We are currently in the Emergency Operations Center, and what we do in the Emergency Operations Center is we activate for pretty much every emergency, every disaster, every planned incident within the City of Houston. We work with partners, police, fire, EMS, Public Works, typical any organization that may need us, Centerpoint, National Weather Service, any type of partner that we may need. In this room, this is the Joint Information Center. This is where all of the public information professionals within the city will come, and we will basically put all the messaging for social media and pretty much anything that the chiefs or the mayor may need. So everything that you see distributed to the media and to the public comes from this room during an emergency or a disaster.
Pretty amazing because a lot of people don't realize what happens behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So this is it's awesome that we're getting to view this and then have such an expert in the field to be able to give us this information.
Yes.
So thank you so much for impromptu doing this, by the way. We drug her in, but we really appreciate her doing this with us.
No problem. Anytime.
This has been an amazing journey, just visiting this place where so much happens, where the people and public outside, even officers, we don't know of everything that happens in here, of everything that is being taken care of here. You as a dispatcher, so much goes on through your mind. So many resources have to flash before your eyes when you're getting a officer saying, I need this, or when you get somebody from the public saying, this is what's going on. As a dispatcher, how are you able to just separate everything and say, okay, we're going to send this, we're going to get your call, go to this other unit and these other specialties, we're going to dispatch these units out there. How do you get that? How do you do that?
Just remaining calm and focused. With the training, you're really trained on how to multitask in many high stressful situations. So just focusing, locking in, and then it becomes second nature over time.
Wow. It's so much that goes on here. The heart of a dispatcher, in a quick phrase or sentence, what does the heart of a dispatcher look like?
Sacrifice.
I think dedication, and I think that they really have to love what they do, because the effort and the amount of really just love that they give to the officers and to the citizens, it is really just it's unexplainable, because it is really dedication, and that what I think would be the number one word is dedication, because it is a purpose-filled position to be in. Like I said, I really believe that it is either a calling or it's something at the end of the day that you can go home knowing that you've made a difference, in your community, you've made a difference with the officers, and that although it can be just as tiring it is for us officers, because actually they are considered first responders too now, based off of legislation, because of the amount of work and dedication and drive that it takes to do the job that they do. They are now, they fall right there in line with us. So a telecommunicator is somebody who does just that. They communicate threats, they communicate to the officers and to the citizens, and then they go home with a filled purpose, a filled need that I think that I'm only able to say from the outside looking in, but I truly believe that it's the same as us. It's a calling. So for most officers, I think that the majority of officers, it's either the job finds us or we find it. But once you get into it, you actually know that those days when you make a difference, you really do impact somebody's lives. And I think that for a dispatcher, from what I've been able to see from the outside looking in, I really think that what you do, it really does impact a lot of people. And at the end of the day, when you go home and you think about how intense your day was or how many calls for service you had, just think, in my opinion, I can just think like how I would be, how as an officer I go home and I go through the calls in my head. I may run through them a little bit here and there, and I think, okay, did I do this well or did I do this well? I imagine you guys probably do the same thing, or if not, a very similar example of that. But I would think that the dedication it takes to really go to the extreme that you do, to be able to manage one call to the next call to the next call and do it with a calm demeanor, and to do it when you have not enough resources, or or you don't have enough time, or you have that time clock ticking behind you. I think it really is a dedication and a calling to be a dispatcher, and truly appreciated calling. And so really I'm grateful to have such awesome and dedicated dispatchers here.
That's right. Again, thank you so much for joining us in Community Shield. We hope that you have gained some appreciation of what happens here in this emergency call center, known also as the HEC Center of the Houston Police Department. Now, we're also recruiting. We want you to join our team of dispatchers of emergency telecommunicators. How do you do that? If you want to get more information, you can call our Office of Community Affairs and get more information on this amazing place at 713-308-3200, 713-308-3200. You can also Google search us in the City of Houston page and look for emergency telecommunicators for the City of Houston. I have a special gift that I want to do for this segment of Community Shield. Stick around in just a few seconds. I want to share something with you, especially something that goes to the heart on this week that's so very special for dispatchers and for the whole department in the communications, emergency communications division, to Commander Lorenzano and everybody that works with her and the HEC Center. This one goes for you and everybody that works in the dispatching profession. An angel walked and found the Lord walking in a small circle and asked, "What are you working on, Lord?" "Well, I finished creating a peace officer. Now I'm working on the dispatcher." Because the angel could not see anything in the room, he asked God, "Tell me about this dispatcher." God answered, "It's somewhat like the police officer, something like that, but it has 5 hands. 1 for answering the phone, 2 for typing, and 1 for answering the radio, and 1 for grabbing a cup of coffee. The arms have to be placed carefully because all the dispatcher's hands have to be working simultaneously. The digestive system of this creation of mine is a little complicated because it runs on coffee and food that can only be delivered every once in a while, but seldom needs to get up for the restroom. I make the skin tough. A dispatcher must withstand the darts from the cranky officers, the jabs from citizens, but not show the wear and tear. A dispatcher only needs 1 pair of eyes. It needs extra room for the ears. There are 5 sets of them. 1 for the main radio, 3 for the radios that he has to monitor, and then everything else that is going around the dispatcher. The brain has to be enormous so that it can remember a full set of 10 codes and the phonetic alphabet, at least 200 voices, and the entire contents of 3 different SOP manuals, 2 teletype manuals, the NCI TCIC code book, and of course, I left enough space for it to learn the individual quirks of each sergeant, of the lieutenants, of the shift commanders, fire chiefs, other supervisors, and have the ability to keep it all straight. There has to be room for them to learn for which situations an officer is needed and which situations the officer is not needed, and for the ability to determine in less than 2 minutes what to do in any given event. There is a built condenser so that it can take an hour-long explanation and condense it down in 30 seconds and still have the ability to get the whole story across. Those switches in the front are the emotions. It has to be able to talk to a mother whose child has just died but not feel any pain, a raped victim with empathy, a suicidal person with calmness and reassurance, and an abusive drunk without getting angry. When one of the officers yells help, it can't panic. When someone doesn't make it, the dispatcher's heart cannot break. That little soft spot just to the left of the emotion switch is for the abandoned animals, the frightened children, the little old ladies who are lonely and just want to talk to someone for a few minutes. The dispatcher has to care very much for the officers and firefighters that it serves without getting involved too much with any of them. Plus, of course, the dispatcher can't have of its own issues to worry about while he is in duty. A dispatcher has to be able to function efficiently under less than good physical conditions and be able to be flexible enough to withstand whatever is going on with the administration and all that other stuff. The voice gave me a little trouble. It has to be clear and easy to understand, calm, and even when everyone else is screaming, but still able to convey empathy and caring while remaining totally professional. It runs on 12 hours of very little sleep, requires almost no days off, and gets paid very less, even less than an executive secretary. The dispatcher sounds wonderful, said the angel. Where is this amazing creation? Well, you see, answered God with a sigh and pause, dispatchers are invisible unless they make a mistake. So it's practically impossible to tell when they are run down, when they're worn out, or when they need to prepare. Now that I've created them, I can't see the original one so that I can make more models out of one. With this, my friends, the message is out, the word is out. We need more dispatchers. We need you. If you have that tug in your heart to become a dispatcher for the Houston Police Department, for our emergency communications unit, please call the Houston Police Department, our 713-308-3200, 713-308-3200. The Office of Community Affairs will give you more information at 713-308-3200, or you can visit us on the website and get more information that we have. Thanks for watching Community Shield of the Houston Police Department, and happy Dispatchers Week.